Welcome to 5 Star Weekly. Rob Valentino's got a big task ahead of him. Who's on the boat to right the ship in his first match in charge? We get into all that and more coming up. Before we get into it, become part of the notification squad by hitting the bell next to the subscribe button on YouTube. Welcome to the show, 5 Star fam. I'm AJ, and this is Michael. And Atl Utd, we're off this week, obviously, with the international break, and a lot of our players have been with their international teams. But yes, as well, though, we have the match over the weekend against the Houston Dynamo, which we will be talking about with a match preview. But yeah, before we get into everything, let's give some massive love to our Patreon members, and much love to you and your loyalty. You guys keep us afloat and doing the things that we do. So yeah, just massive love to you guys. But yes, big shouts out to Gavin, Jordan, Niall, Andrew, and Chris. But let's get into the news. And yes, like aforementioned, 8 Atl Utd players have been called up to their national teams in preparation for the Euros, Copa America, the Olympic Games, all that. And Luis Abram, Thiago Almada, Noah Cobb, Jay Fortune, Jaden Hibbert, Saba Lapsanidze, Bartosz Slisz, and Caleb Wiley all received call-ups from their respective national teams. So, yeah, basically, it means also a lot of players will be out. And, yeah, it's going to be a bit of a thing. Yeah, we won't get into every bit of their performances or if they played. But, yeah, basically, it is very much so that, some of them had some good cameos, some good, kind of starts. But, I think a good highlight is that Thiago Almada, yes, as expected, is captaining the Olympic side for Argentina. But, yeah, also big shouts to Noah Cobb. Definitely at his young age, already getting, a call up there. That is massive, and, for the U.S. youth national team. But
and join our Discord if you want to see, the specifics of what these players are doing internationally speaking.
Exactly. But, and yeah, the Discord is below in the description. But, yeah, as well, unfortunately, Steven Gregerson, he did suffer an injury in that last match, and he is expected to miss the next 2 or 3 weeks, after the left hamstring injury, which, man, it seems pretty common when you kind of have one injury, you start to favor another part of your body, and then, yes, something else it just compounds. And yeah, his rehab process will determine his return to play timeline. So, yeah, hopefully Gregerson can heal up very, very soon. But, yeah, as well, Rob Valentino, he spoke with the media after he was named the interim head coach. And, yeah, so, had a lot of very interesting things to say. Some of the highlights, and we'll react to it after we talk about his quotes. But, yeah, he did mention that it's good that, some of the players, they had some time off for the team, to be able to come back refreshed. So a little bit of a break for them, which I think, yeah.
Clear their heads.
Yeah, exactly. After that very busy workload in May, yeah, it definitely is much needed. You kind of need to just step away for a little bit of time and kind of reflect and, kind of find that enjoyment again, which is kind of what he was talking about. And as well, quote, how we can find that every day on and off the field. And very importantly, he kept mentioning this shared success. He kind of mentioned it a few times in his press conference. He continued on, when you look at teams and organizations, it is not one person's fault. It is shared in terms of where we are. There's that responsibility and accountability. But on the other side of it, I want there to be a shared success. We really want to enjoy the day-to-day. I think that's going to be the message going forward from myself. And as well, he mentioned that as far as everybody's response to coaching differently, said, I think that is the uniqueness of a team. You have players from different backgrounds and different cultures. I love working with the human side of things. I enjoy getting to know the players and the relationship building. I'm going to try and trigger things that we can get behind together. We are all in one boat together and going the same direction. So, as I mentioned at the top of the show, who's going to be on that boat for Houston? That is a really big question, but we'll answer that. But as far as what Valentino has said, what has struck you as something that's kind of really, I guess, lack of a better word, really made you be like, okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's a little corporate speak, but, the shared success line is nice to hear a bit, even though it's a little corporate speak to me, because it's like, they want to just feel success with just their day-to-day, with, getting their training done, feeling camaraderie, and then playing the game and enjoying it, and then finding success in that. And that's good because it's like kind of saying he can't guarantee wins for the team, which would give them success. So they have to try and find in other things. And I think that that's a good starting place, because we really have to kind of think of this as starting at, step one or ground zero, and work our way up from the bottom. I think this is a good way to start that. Finding success and finding joy in the little things at first. Start getting a foundation, confidence, camaraderie together, chemistry, just all stuff that probably we thought was being done or should have been done with Pineda in the preseason, with Pineda, but it just so happened that nothing clicked. It never really came. Hopefully, with a tiny reset, we can attempt to do it again with a new figurehead and and some new players, new-ish, coming into the starting 11 to replace players who are out on international duty and things like that. So hopefully this will be, a better reset, a better start for the rest of the season. Outside of that, I can't think of any other quotes off the top of my head. I can't think of any off the top of my head. Maybe you can remind me.
Yeah. Well, I think, just to add to what you're saying, I mean, basically, I agree. It's that, something to click, I think it does need that kind of really, really important kind of, training camp or preseason, more so, where basically, these players really get kind of a, kind of one for all type of thing, all for one. And I don't think that was the case. It very much seemed like some of the players were playing for themselves a little bit. And
it's so weird because the whole time, everyone would always talk about one of the best part about Pineda being a coach is he's able to generate culture, a culture among the players. And it seemed to be, at least from the outside looking in, extremely positive, like psychologically healthy, like really, really good stuff. Maybe the wins weren't coming, but at least everyone seemed, relatively happy. The camaraderie seemed there, doing all this kind of stuff, their little games and things they play, the cookout stuff, like it's all of this stuff seemed positive and really good. And then you see, what you were talking about. It's like, well, maybe things weren't as good. And that shocks me. Because it's like, something isn't matching up here one-to-one.
Yeah, because I think, obviously this is a little bit of pontification, but it is where you had players that were out from the preseason and weren't with the club, during the preseason. So, the likes of a Thiago Almada, who, I think some would think, he has been want away. He has had his head turned. And I think the performances kind of, while, he's still, I think, putting like a 7 performance on most matches, it's, he's not, man of the match. He's not.
We know he can do better. I mean, he's been doing good, but we know he can do better.
Exactly. And so he's not scoring the crucial goals. He's not playing how we've seen him play. And I think that's where it is where, you kind of see a little bit of these aspects that, okay, well, you have one guy who clearly is the best player on the team, but is he getting star treatment? Is he getting treatment that's different from everybody else? Well, I mean, I think it's obvious there is a bit, because he's allowed to pretty much coast right back into the team when he's off away on international duty. And I think if there were more competition for places in his spot, well, then I think you'd see him kind of more urgently have to perform and have to get on the score sheet and feel like, oh man, I'm not doing well enough to get on the starting 11. I think that's a healthy place for the club to be at. And I think right now at the moment you have star player treatment, and whether that is Almada's fault or anything like that, I don't think it is. It's just a matter of that's the nature of MLS and the nature of our club and the roster construction. And that sucks. It really sucks because, I mean, you basically have, say, like a Nick Firmino or, whomever. Like, say we brought in another, player, that plays the 10, but then, he scores. I mean, Nick Firmino has. But, and then he sits on the bench. It's, but, Thiago Almada didn't. Obviously there is a different dynamic to what Firmino and Almada brings, but it is, I mean, if you want competition for places, I mean, you got to, reward with merit, and that's difficult. That's difficult in this league, but it also is, especially when you have a far and away better player than, the rest of the team. Essentially, I think that much is obvious, but from a motivational standpoint, that's a big thing to have to work through. And obviously, Pineda didn't have the goods to figure that out. Hopefully Valentino can, or if it's not Valentino, hopefully it's somebody else. But yeah, moving on from that, Brooks Lennon and Brad Guzan also spoke with the media, speaking about accountability and also about Valentino as well. And I think about the accountability, Lennon, he said, everyone has to look at themselves in the mirror and understand they are doing well and what they can improve on. And at least regarding Valentino, Rob has been here since the beginning, quote, since the time I arrived at the club, he has been part of every single coaching staff and change that I have been through. Rob is a very mature manager. He knows MLS. He played in it. I think he is just trying to keep the message simple, not trying to overcomplicate things. And he also went on to say, when you are in a tough moment like this, it is time to go back to the drawing board and simplify things. Try to focus on specific messages that this coaching staff is trying to get across and doing it at the best of your ability. I think that is going to lead to 3 points on Saturday. And Brad Guzan also mentioned in praising Valentino's ability to communicate with the guys, whether it is Americans or foreign guys, and handling different languages. He puts himself out there in terms of making a point to connect with guys on a deeper level. Guzan mentioned that to get positive results is starting with the correct mentality. The attitude needs to be a professional one. The attitude needs to be a commitment and desire to go and compete for 90-plus minutes. Whether we make mistakes or not, it is how we react from those mistakes. How do we bounce back and support each other? How do we make teams feel the aura around our team? We need to be able to bring that for 90-plus minutes every single game. There's something else as far as Brad Guzan to speak about that we will speak about. But as far as these quotes from Lennon and Guzan, any thoughts on these?
Yeah, are you alluding to his segment in the video they released? Yeah. Because that's what kind of triggered that in my head was, his thoughts about we're all in this together, it's togetherness. And I said in the Discord a little bit, like when Brad was trying to seemingly desperately tell everyone, we're all in this together. and everyone's heads were down, and trying to fire everyone up, and it felt like he's trying to keep everything together with like dental floss or something. It's just like it's just really, really flimsy, not gonna work. It was kind of rough to see, and that was kind of the point of the video, and we'll get into the video a little later. But I mean, Rob Valentino has been around, like you said, for a long time. I don't really have much else about that, but I just wanted to. It just reminded when you said that that I think it's Valentino has now more assistant coach experience and interim coach experience than Pineda had when he joined the team in 2021. So that's kind of interesting.
Yeah, for sure, absolutely. Because it is as well. Some people are meant to be assistant coaches and not head coaches, but it is also. I mean, sometimes that experience, especially with some pretty great coaches in some senses in his tenure here. I mean, he's basically learned from people's mistakes and also the obvious, the winning situations and winning measures too. So, that's not too bad. I think the winning pedigree as an assistant coach as well. I mean, that's definitely helpful. So, to be able to kind of spearhead that, I think is super important. I think for me anyway, for Lennon's comments, kind of not overcomplicating things, I think is super important, because it did kind of feel like the message started to get a little bit pretty much where, maybe not the message, but like the way we were trying to play is yes, you do want a good system, but also if your players can't grasp it, it's also you're banging your head against the wall, and that's I think that's kind of.
I believe there was some pushback in the press conference too about that. It's like, so what? They were playing too complicated, or they couldn't figure it out, or what? He's like, no, it's not like that. It's not like that. So it's just like, well, what do you mean uncomplicating things? And he just really couldn't dissect it any further without kind of revealing things, I suppose. But like, it's that's fair, a fair answer to media. But it just seems
internally
like,
you can do that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just like, because it just seems such like a wanting and undeserved, like a unfulfilling answer to say like, well, we'll uncomplicate things. It's like, okay, so were things complicated? Well, not really. It's like, well, okay.
It's a good question to ask. Absolutely, yeah. It's good pressing in terms of that, and I think that's what it is. It's like, yes, I think it's obvious looking at the team that there's some players that tactically are not the most streetwise, are not the most, would you say the most astute, but it is what it is. I mean, that's, any team, you're going to have that, but I think it's also with the roster construction, hopefully you can bring in more guys that you've vetted as, okay, this is someone that can take in instruction and coaching very well, because that's what you want. You want players that you can meld into your system very easily versus, like I'm saying, banging your head against the wall, which is obviously the case. But I mean, I alluded to it. We're going to talk about it. The Rooted in the Stripes episode 2 that they put out on YouTube, very transparent and very
bravo
real.
To them. Yeah, bravo to them for doing that.
Exactly. And, I think it's very, very well done, not only in from a technical aspect and a production aspect, but I think, the kind of balls to show that type of stuff behind the scenes, whether the players wanted to or not. I mean, this kind of felt like, one of those Amazon documentary series. And, it's like, whether good or bad, you're going to show a little bit. I argue this probably showed more than some of those Amazon ones to a degree, because, you saw Brad Guzan in the locker room, kind of speaking, as well as Dax McCarty, who, spoke up, being a new member on the team, and, maybe not having garnered the absolute respect that, he probably deserves as a MLS veteran, but as well, I mean, it's like Noah Cobb speaking up, as an 18-year-old. I mean, this is just like, okay, you're seeing who the people that step up, the people that stand up to be counted when it matters most. And I think, something that was a little bit interesting is, Pineda, he came in and, he was yelling, he was, trying to kind of fire up the boys and, put a little bit of fear into them a little bit. But, it's like, it endeared him a little bit more to me, but also it kind of exposed a little bit of the flaws, I feel like, too. That, it's like ultimately, we know the result of that, and it wasn't effective. Maybe it came across to the players where it's like, okay, is he actually, is he actually serious? Like, is he just, yelling to yell to, like, kind of try to fire us up? Like, maybe they see right through that, because it's apparent sometimes, with kind of leadership. It's like sometimes if you can have respect for leaders, wherever you are, but if you already feel a certain way, you're like, he's not going to enforce this. It's like, whatever, it's like there is a bit of that where you will feel that you will feel that, okay, it's consequenceless. But
when a parent lacks follow through on their said punishments that they're gonna dole out.
And so that's kind of what it felt like to me a little bit. But how did it strike you?
I didn't really think of it like that. I thought of it when I first saw it, and I think it's still kind of my opinion on the whole for Pineda's part of the video. Was the sincerity and honest passion he seems to have. When he says, like, I love you guys, I believe that. When I hear him talk about what he believes the team's capable of doing, I believe that he thinks that he actually truly believes that stuff. I do think, like, he talks very flowery, and it seems a little, like pie in the sky type, talk sometimes. But for me, like, I thought it actually seemed grounded this time. Like, he actually does mean these things that he says. It's not just words for him, So that I give him some respect for. I like that. And like seeing him hot and bothered about all this. Like, I feel like he could have shown this more, outwardly in other ways, perhaps. I mean, I guess, it's unprofessional, what have you, if it's, you let that kind of out. But I feel like I would just rather have a little bit more edge to my coach than, because he seems like a kitty cat, on the sideline and in press conferences and things like that. But if he's like a lion in the locker room, like, that's great. But I wish we'd kind of see a little more of that on the outside, because people would stop thinking he's so, passive and, unemotive and blah, 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 blah. And he's all just about, like, love and peace, bro. But, like, he's actually has some edge to him. I would like to see that a little bit more. But, I know you have to, that's a hard, balancing act to play. Now, as for Noah Cobb, I want to say I was impressed by him speaking up, like you pointed out, to have the gumption at that age to say that, and to not only that, but he's taking out a note paper, he's jotting down the players that are late, going like, who is coming in late for the, like, 2 to 3 minutes late, and all of a sudden we get scored on 3 minutes in. It's like almost that's the same thing, and I'm like, damn, bro, like he's holding players accountable. And that, like, the players who roll in late, they know who they are. So he knows exactly who they are and who he's talking about, and they know it too. So, I mean, that's pretty cool from him. So, like, that could also generate a little bit of animosity in the locker room, but I think it's warranted. And I mean, if you're the type of player who gets mad instead of says, never mind, I'll try and do better, then we don't want you.
Yeah. Exactly. I mean, it is that kind of winning mentality. It is something that within a sports team, like that's something that you really need. Is you need accountability. You need, someone to really actually show that leadership to actually hold people accountable. And when you don't, I mean, things just seem paper thin. As far as the message goes, because then it's like, oh well, then it's like, and especially if you yourself are not, kind of leading the ship in that sense too. So that's where Brad Guzan, that bit does seem a little bit like you pointed out. It, him sitting there. I think it's a little bit body language too. A little bit. It's like, yeah, I hate to kind of draw a correlation, but because correlation is not causation, but there has been a little bit of a thing where since Brad Guzan has been captain, it's not exactly been the best of times. Obviously, he is a player that has a lot of experience and at the highest level, but I don't know. Maybe
and he's a big personality, so
right. But maybe he's not the person that absolutely holds everybody accountable. He's who knows. I'm kind of guessing here, but it does seem like the message fell flat a little bit, which often can be really difficult when it's the goalkeeper's away from the rest of the team a lot of times. It's like there's the training parts where a lot of them are together, but there is also goalkeeper training that is separate as well. So there is this aspect that you're not always going to be able to kind of see and kind of keep everybody in line during every single thing. Like if you have a outfield player as a captain and he sees everything, yeah, he's gonna hold shit accountable. And if he's a good captain, and who knows. But very, very illuminating video. And
I didn't touch on it, but I mean, Dax is a consummate professional. Like what he said was amazing. It's amazing. Like, I mean, that it takes someone, a newbie coming into the team, to just immediately be able to diagnose problems and come up with solutions, because that's what you expect out of a veteran. And that's just great to see. It's like, it's extremely refreshing. So I guess what I'm trying to say. And also he had that interview on that one podcast, I forget what it was called, and he basically said largely the same stuff. And just Google Dax McCarty on like a soccer kind of podcast recently. He's got his own a little bit more in depth. Yeah. Oh, it was Dax's?
Yeah, he's got his own. I forget if it was actually on his. If he spoke.
I think it was on another guy's.
Yeah, but either way, he's got his own one, and he speaks a lot about Atlanta United, and I think it's that. It's like he spoke about as well, even in the video there, that he wanted to come to Atlanta United because of how well we played last year, and he knew that possibly I could play a part into this because it looked like a lot of fun. Essentially, it's like that's all it takes sometimes is that's how you attract some of the
exactly
the players.
Winners are going to want to play with winners. They don't want to play with a losing team.
Yeah, and so that's where the I think the intangibles can kind of come in, but we'll move on from this. But basically, very, very good video that they're obviously going to be recording for the rest of the season. I would assume so. Fascinating for sure, but also fascinating is soccer photogrammetry. This offside modeling account on Twitter pointed out that he reported that the ball versus Charlotte FC, the first goal for them, that apparently after VAR checked it went over the line, that the ball is modeled as in play by almost 2 inches. He says, I really thought it was in the goal when I first saw it. Basically, very, very interesting post, and it goes deeper a little bit. But yeah, it's just basically, it's been a kind of a hot topic a little bit that, yeah, is annoying. I mean, yes, we've had some bad calls. We've had some very bad calls, but, it is part of MLS. It has kind of, led to where we are. Mike Conti, kind of tweeted that there are maybe like 5 instances of, kind of some misgivings, I would say, and that we could be in 8th place instead of where we are. Well, still, 8th place isn't good enough. So it doesn't matter really per se at the end of the day. Yeah, a call that's really, pretty bad. At the end of the day, we let our heads drop and we shipped in more goals. So it's still, it's like, it's how you react, like, the players were saying, and it's how you pretty much rectify these type of, kind of bad situations that you're in. And, I think we too many times kind of allow external factors to affect our game and pretty much turn it for the worst. But, your thoughts on, this post?
Yeah, I mean, it's cool. I don't know if a lot of people in the audience follow these types of accounts that will, like analyze pictures and frozen stills from games and things. It's quite interesting the way and the methodology they kind of do things. I don't know much about it, but it's fascinating stuff. If you don't follow them, it's fun to look into once in a while, especially when there's a call, that affects your team and they have a controversial opinion about it. So, and I think also, the extra time guys also agreed that was a wrong call as well.
Yeah. And this is the thing. It's so simple to fix. Like, you just pay for the technology to have the watch that tells you if the ball goes over the line completely.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just...
Or release the angle that VAR had that no one else had.
Right.
That'll prove it, right?
Right. I mean, it's just, like, I don't know. There are just things that basically baffle my mind right now with kind of how how VAR is being handled across the world. And it is just... Why?
Well, they're keeping it in the EPL, so get used to it.
Yeah, it's VAR in, and man,
very much in. What was it like? Only one team voted for no.
Yeah, so hopefully there are big improvements to the whole world game, because it's frustrating to watch. I mean, when shit just isn't used correctly. I mean, and it's pretty much boys club, the old boys club. In there, that's just, it's not good enough. But moving on from that, transfer rumor of the week: Giorgos Giakoumakis. According to Cesar Luis Merlo, he said he will travel at the end of the week to become a new Cruz Azul player. Fabrizio Romano also reported as well. Probably a 4-year contract. Possibly a $10 million transfer fee. Doug Roberson also tweeted out today, we're recording this on a Wednesday for full transparency, that Gigi was not with Atlanta United today, and negotiations with Cruz Azul are still ongoing. Very interesting. I mean, pretty much Giakoumakis seems like he's in Greece, kind of opening up his pastry shop with his wife, I think it seems like, and has been there kind of just kind of waiting out to see if he does make his move to Cruz Azul. But it seems all but done, pretty much. Just a few things with the physical and all that. But
that physical, that could be a bit of a wild card.
Who knows? Yes, but I mean, large in part, it looks like he is pretty much probably healthy anyway. Who knows about...
They're like, the medical report, it shows that your bones are all made of glass? That can't be right.
Exactly. It's, unbreakable. And, But that's a movie reference if you don't know.
They called me
guys.
Mr. Glass.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's you know, M. Night Shyamalan, very hit or miss, and more misses than hits. But
At least
you
he
know,
had that.
exactly that one, very very good. But anyway, yeah. So I mean, you know, Giakoumakis, we talked about it last episode. I mean, it pretty much is where, you know, it's gonna be a big miss. You know, we're gonna have to figure out who the new striker is. Tiare and Rios, while you know, very decent backups, will not be able to carry the line and you know, be our point of attack for the rest of the season. It will not be good enough. So yeah, we absolutely need to figure out, you know, what next type of player that will be. But
Well, do you rush that though, with not having a coach in place?
yeah, exactly. But that's the thing. It's like you you still want to at least a little bit excite the fans too. Yeah, it's tough. It's a bit of a conundrum that they're in a little bit. So, but as well, Doug Roberson, he reported that former Vancouver coach Carl Robinson was assisting coaching today as well, and then yeah, academy director Laurie was also assisting too. So definitely interesting that you know, you have a bunch of guys from elsewhere kind of helping, and yeah.
And if they lose, I think, like, what is it, 2 or 3 more coaches that I think they'll give AJ a call.
Yeah, that will never happen.
He's
but
somewhere on the lower totem pole of the
yeah. Right, exactly. It's breaking in case of glass type of in which case yeah, it's still not gonna happen. But yeah, moving on from that,
I could just envision you kind of like peering in with binoculars from outside the training grounds, kind of shouting with a loudspeaker, like, "Oh, run faster!"
Yeah, and they'll be like, "Who is that crazy guy? Call the cops."
Yeah,
But,
get him down from there.
Exactly. Yep. How to get up there, but so the account Soccer Insider, Stephen Goff, he tweeted out that the pathways for the FIFA World Cup for the hosts, if first in the group, the United States, they would play maybe in San Francisco, round of 32, Seattle for the round of 16, and maybe the U.S. men's national team could play a knockout match in Atlanta if it finishes second in the group. So, you know, you kind of hope that, you know, we finish first, but, I mean, in the event, okay, we'll take that. But, so, you know, not too bad. But,
I mean, I'm not expecting USA to finish first in any groups in World Cup anytime soon. So
yeah, even as a host, yeah, it is what it is. It's true.
That would be pretty amazing. That would be definitely punching above our weight class.
Yeah.
I mean, just like we did tonight, USA on this Wednesday on the 12th tied Brazil in a friendly before Copa America, which definitely another example of punching above your weight class. Lessons learned after, you know, crap in the bed against Colombia. So that's something good to look at.
Indeed, and it's a case of, you know, after you get slapped up, you realize, hey, yeah, we should not do that again. Let's figure out a more pragmatic way of playing, so that yeah, we'll aim to suffer a little bit. Something we can learn. But yep. Anyway, so as well, FIFA released some possible host sites for the 2026 World Cup as well. Atl Utd and Kennesaw State are part of the possibilities. So definitely very, very awesome there. So yep, that's pretty much the news, and that gets us into the mailbag. And you guys send in these questions through Discord and IG story. Please continue to do so, and we might answer your question in the future. But first question comes from our Patreon high-level tier member, Gavin. He says, will we make the playoffs this season, or is it more likely a lost season? Oh, Gavin, why you gotta do that to us? These are tough predictions here in you know, middle of the season here when we're in a dire moment. But yeah, we're on the hot seat. Here we go. Go ahead.
I mean, I think it's very possible we make the playoffs. I mean, it's very easy to make the playoffs in MLS. I don't think it's, outside of our capability. I mean, if some things start to go right, I mean, like you said earlier, like with Mike Conti, he musing about what if some bounces went another way, we could possibly be in eighth. That's basically striking distance of being in the playoffs. Like, I mean, it could happen. We could just hit a run of form against some, bad teams at a certain point, and some teams decide to flounder in the middle of the pack. I mean, it's not all on us too. It could be on other teams decide to just hit an iceberg and start sinking for whatever reason. So it's possible. In MLS, you're never counted out. It's such a weird league. I know this is not normal around the world. So we still are in it, even almost. That's why you even have things like decision day. Like, it's just, there's still teams battling to get in up until that time, and there's only a small amount of teams that don't get to play in the playoffs, that just have to sit there and watch and wait until next year, which is just extremely painful. But hopefully we don't have to do that. I mean, getting to the playoffs, if that's your metric for whether or not the season is like a lost cause, I don't know if I agree with that. I would still think we're pretenders if we are even close to getting to competing in the playoffs. I don't think we're ever going to be convincing contenders for this season, even if we get in. So even if, like I said, even if we get in, I don't think it's going to, bode well for us in the playoffs. It's just going to be another kind of easy first round exit.
Yeah, I agree for the most part, and very well said, except for this, is that, okay, if Rob Valentino can figure out how to play better on the road, I think there is absolutely, a way that, okay, yeah, we suck into the playoffs. But if we're a team that is just a, absolute, just, we're assholes on the road. It's just, man, like, we became something else. And, playing us, on the road is going to be really difficult. Okay, yeah, that's where this season, I think, has a lot more promise, because, yeah, sneaking into the playoffs and we're still in the same type of form on the road, it's like, yeah, it's like, well, that's a foregone conclusion almost. It's, the odds are against us, but, we can hope. And I'm always going to hope, being a fan of this team, but it is also, yeah, there's a realist in me, and that realist does speak louder than,
what's the percentage probability would you put on that happening?
Yeah, well,
Valentino figures out how to win on the road when almost every coach in MLS has not been able to do that.
Right. Well, I mean, there are clubs in MLS that have, obviously, and that's kind of why they, win Supporter Shields, win MLS Cup, and when they're counted out, they're, most of the teams that win MLS Cup are not the clubs that you thought were going to win. So, it is kind of that thing. But I would say it's less than 10%. But you're telling me there's a chance.
Yep. And we'll hope for it.
Yep, exactly. But, so next question comes from Drew, another Patreon high-level member. With the transfer window coming up, who do you want to stay? Who do you want to go? Who do you think will leave? Ooh, we won't go through every single person on the team, but name someone who you want to stay, who you want to go, and who you think will leave.
I think we should probably part ways with Abram. I don't know if I'd have to think about that more in terms of how our contract situation with them is working, but he's just not doing it for me, with how much we're paying him. Mascara's a maybe, because he's paid a lot, he's U22, but as we're using him with a starter position, a lot of times it's just not getting the job done. If we could get him back to just being a super sub exclusively like he was and have a good team again, then perhaps he could still be useful like he was at the end of last year. but we just haven't been able to get there, and it's just so he's looked a little rough. So if we can't get there, his head could be on the chopping block. There's a few other players too. I won't get into all of them, but players that I think to make up our core that we should absolutely keep and continue moving forward as the building blocks. I would definitely say Stian Gregerson, as long as he can stay healthy. If he has like a thing about always being injured, then we need to get out of that. But I really like him though if he can stay healthy. Williams seems good too. I'd like to keep him around. And also Bartosz Slisz, I think he's been great. And to a slightly lesser degree, but I still think Cohen could be among that group, as like kind of the future of the team, as a core going forward. I think those players you can definitely build around. The other players are like, some of them are like, you could probably keep them. It wouldn't be a big deal if they were to leave. I'm not really married to any of them. When you have all the DPs, they're always coming and going, usually, unless like you're Joseph Martinez or something who stays around for a long time. But I don't think that's typical. A lot of your DPs are often on the move, so that's to be expected. Your wingers, I'm not married to them, definitely. They can go or stay. I like Saba. He can be a good player for us. He's not consistent, but that also could just be a fundamental issue with the club itself. And when that's rectified, he can start excelling again. Same to a lesser degree, Silva. But like, again, if these guys were gone and they were replaced with slightly better upgrades, I wouldn't be upset with them. They haven't like 1000% ingratiated themselves for me into the team yet. Saba was more far along than Silva though, for sure. And the rest of kind of the backup, the depth players, I don't care whether or not they stay or go for the most part. I like a few of them that I think I like Jay Fortune. I think he's been great as a backup. Dax is great as a backup. However, I know Dax is nearing retirement. Jay Fortune is young. I don't know if he's going to stick around here or, get like on a loan or other things. Like there's a lot of things that can go up in the air for Jay. So, there's just a lot of variables with the team right now. This is a strange time in Atlanta United where a lot of the turnover and guys going in and out, it's going to be, you could see a very different team come next year.
Yeah, no, I don't really disagree with pretty much most of what you said. I think, someone that we haven't talked about, and obviously the two biggest ones, with Thiago Almada, as far as who we want to stay. It's like, I would love him to stay if he wanted to stay and play in MLS. He's not. So, I think it is one of these things where, okay, hey, yes, enjoy him while we can, but it also is, I'm kind of to a little bit of a degree because of the season he's having. Yeah, just move him on. And
it's one foot out the door. I want to see someone like, and here's another thing too. Like, and this is like, I kind of included, I guess, implicitly with my statement about the DPs in flux. Yeah. Thiago Almada and Gigi of obviously being these players, going in and out. But like, Thiago, he's got one foot out the door in my opinion when it comes to this stuff, and that's fine. I would be actually probably on the side if he can go, and I'd be more happy that way, because if we can get another player in, and they're probably not going to be as good as him, and that's probably going to be the case. Thiago is very, very good, and even if we go and get like the next super talent from South America or something, it probably still won't be as good as him. However, what I think was more important is I want someone with a little bit more attitude, someone with a little bit more edge to them. Thiago, for all his skill and talent, just like kind of Leo Messi, he's very quiet and reserved and doesn't talk a lot, doesn't say a lot. His generalities and his pleasantries that he says in the media, it amounts to basically nothing. To me, at least, like it does. Like Thiago Almada talking to the media, I'm like, okay, this is gonna impart no wisdom, no interesting things to me whatsoever, and they never do. So like if we have say what you want about Luis Araujo, it wasn't very good for us, but like that guy has some edge to him, and I would like a player with a little bit more edge to them. to come in to be the number 10 and to lead the team. I mean, it's funny, Miguel Almiron had like 0 edge, but similarly to some other very good players in the world, you don't necessarily need that if your talent is so high and your team is pumping on all cylinders, but we're not, and I think it wouldn't be terrible if we had a number 10 with some edge next.
Yeah. And also he showed full commitment, Miguel Almiron, and I think, it's kind of obvious that it's not.
I mean, like, with edge, I think, with some edge, I think, the commitment seems to be there, to some degree, because it's like, I want to be able to, the leaders of the team, I want them to say things like Gigi says, like sometimes, like we're going to go out there and we're going to beat the last year's champions. Like, I liked that energy he came into the game against Columbus. That was really good. That fired me up. That gave me faith that we had a chance this season. And, we ended up playing pretty well against Columbus. So, like, that kind of stuff, obviously we're not going to have Gigi anymore. The players that come in need to have that type of fire and edge and that full commitment to the team. And unfortunately, we haven't had that in spades lately.
Yeah. I think for time's sake, we will move on from this question. I'd love to answer every bit of it, but I think we're running a little bit long on it. But so next question comes from Dr. Magnifico. He says, we all want to win, but do we want Rob to do a great job and get hired for realsies? Or would we still prefer a splashy big name signing to generate buzz?
Yeah, I mean, I think the latter is just probably better for us long term. But I mean, if Rob can somehow pull a miracle out and get a trophy or something, then I think that's a pretty good argument for him having, having a contract presented to him. Maybe not a long one because he's a starter, full-time coach, but hey, it could be worse if he wins us a trophy. I think that's how I'd approach it, but I think, modus operandi should probably be look for the splashy coach signing, because that's where a team like Atlanta can make a difference compared to other teams who aren't willing to spend as much on your non-on-field players. So,
yeah, because that's the thing. It's like, Atlanta United can spend big on multiple aspects, and especially it's this. It's like you can go out and get the best, and it pretty much doesn't count that like that against your cap. It's basically you can go and get the best coach available if they want to come, obviously, and that will give you that kind of that 20% more, that the whole Pareto rule. And if you can do that, I mean, that's what you have to maximize, is pretty much be that 20%, get that 1% better every single day. Yes, we're talking in a little bit of cliches, but it's like, these aspects do get you better, and I think we need to be prioritizing those types of things where, okay, moneyball it. Like, so what can we pump money into that other people cannot, are unwilling to, are, not doing so at the moment? Instead, I think we're falling behind. We're, when we were leading the way in this whole like so-called MLS 3.0, well, we've really fallen into whatever it is that we're in, and we're not leading the way in anything. It's except for fans at the stadium that, basically, like I've mentioned, it's overinflated because it's not really that many fans in there. It's just, that's the truth. Let's just let's call a spade a spade. When you're the club and you're not doing that, it's like, okay, it's fine. Yeah, I get you, but it's also, I mean, we. There are a lot of people that are I think showing their disdain by refraining from going. So, but next question comes from Javier Martin 9. Have we lost our connections in Argentina? I'll just answer that. Basically, I don't think it really matters where we find players. Yes, the Argentine connection was very apparent with Tata Martino. But yeah, we've kind of been scouting in France. We've been, scouting in some different areas around Europe. And I think really what matters is bring the best type of player that you can bring in for the club. That's all that matters. Doesn't matter if it's Argentina only or whatever. Like, that's, Argentina, obviously, it's shown that, yeah, we were a little hit or miss in there. So, not exactly the best playground to play in. But
I mean, like, you say that, but I mean, like, the questioner Javier says that it's like, but we have one of the most hot talents from Argentina on the team right now. So I mean, like, what more do you want? We have a lot,
yeah.
Like, we got, outside of Leo Messi, like, we got like one of the hottest pieces of Argentinian soccer talent on our team.
Exactly. So yeah, I mean, to that degree, yes, we're not like flush with Argentines at the moment, but yeah, I think if that's the thing, it's like if we sell Almada to another club for a high dollar amount, and we show the pathway again, there's plenty of other players that coming up in Argentina that are be like, okay, great.
I mean, hey, if we get Gallardo in, I mean,
yep.
I imagine we're going to get a lot of Argentinian attention. So There's that.
But that is still a hope and a dream, and we'll see. I have no idea. We have no idea if that's possible at the moment with the the state of the club, but hopefully so. Yep. Last question comes from greatest Josh Cohen fan. Our MLS playoff dreams are mostly over. Do we focus on Leagues Cup and U.S. Open Cup, or still try to push all out in MLS?
I mean, I push all out MLS is like, I mean, like, there's a break for Leagues Cup, so I mean, you can push all out in Leagues Cup too. Obviously, we're not going to be able to push all out because there'll be players missing for that as well. And with likely the possibility of not having a star DP striker for a while now, I feel like kind of precludes an inevitability of us not doing well in any kind of long form tournament. So that might be really, really a bridge too far for us with Leagues Cup this year. That might be a foregone conclusion if things continue the way they are. If we don't see any improvement on Rob and we still don't get a DP striker in, or Thiago leaves, etc., if he still feels like, 1 foot out the door, not really fully here, not, he's underperforming, that you could see an early exit in Leagues Cup, even though we don't have the hardest group. Open Cup is who knows? I mean, we'll probably win another one, but I don't think we'll go the whole way, because eventually we will have to play an MLS team, and that can get ugly. So we'll see how that goes. And then just throwing everything and rest into the MLS season. I think that's all that's just what you are gonna do regardless. I don't think like I think you throw everything into the Open Cup as long as you have it. I think it's your best chance of winning silverware. But, once those things are out of the picture, you just play the MLS regular season like you can, like you will have to, and it will be what it is, and we'll see where we land for the playoffs. But yeah, the U.S. Open Cup is our best chance, and as long as you have that, I would push that.
Yeah, definitely agree. I mean, it's with Leagues Cup, it's like probably the hardest one to win, I would say, because you have Liga MX teams in there as well, and just uncertainty with who we have on the roster is it's really difficult to plan for that. And then
we have US Santos and DC, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, we saw what DC did to us, so yeah, it's not exactly going to be easy, but I think we do have, I think if we have our first choice defense, we will fare better. But yeah, it's definitely, who knows? It's still unknown. And then U.S. Open Cup too, of course. As Mike said, it's just gonna be okay. Well, you're gonna face an MLS club at some point, and I wouldn't bet on it, but I mean, I would say, okay, yeah, there is an aspect of it that does seem possible if we can get, a striker in, or if, our backup strikers are firing a little bit. Because it's also that, yes, once you get to the, latter parts of the tournament, yes, you will be facing full strength lineups, but along the way, it won't necessarily be. So you might fare a little bit okay there. So, but yeah, I think all out in MLS. I mean, you try to get the best results in each match that you can, and pretty much prioritize. Pretty much trying to just squeeze the most out of each lineup that you have to put out there, and then at that point, hope for the best. But yep, so that's the mailbag, guys, and thank you guys for sending those questions in. Let's get into the match preview, and it's 7:30 at the Benz on Saturday versus the Houston Dynamo, and they are 7th in the West. Last match, they played the Portland Timbers to a 2-2 draw, and when we last played them, which was in 2019, we beat them 5-0. So definitely, a long time since we've played them, so it's kind of not that relevant in the sense of history.
Yeah, they knew us when we were still good.
Yeah, exactly. That's true. Because, the games that we played against them, which haven't been many, there's 3 of them, basically, we've won 2 and lost 1. And so, basically, kind of not that big of a history, essentially. But as far as Houston goes, last year they played some really, really good ball, I mean, it's kind of insane how Ben Olsen has had them play, at least kind of last year. This year, a little bit of a different story. They're a little bit more banged up, unfortunately, as Hector Herrera, he started the year injured. But pundits had them finishing as high as 3rd in the West and as low as 11th. So definitely kind of some big fluctuations. They were a little bit just, they're unsure how this team is going to do. I think 7th is probably, it makes sense to where they are at the moment. But, as far as kind of some danger men for them, Amine Bassi has been a guy that has been their match winner a lot of times. Ibrahim Aliyu, one of their forwards, leads the way with 4 goals for them. So not exactly a really high-scoring side. I would expect this match to also reflect that a little bit, where it's not going to be, a really high-scoring match. As also Ben Olsen, he knows his way about in kind of being pragmatic, as a former DC United coach, that when he had Lucho Acosta, he knew how to kill us. He just bunker and just unleash Acosta when possible. And so, right now, they're a side that, like I mentioned, not great at finishing their scoring chances. Not really great at defending either. But, they play a lot of possession football. They pretty much play a lot in their own half as well. So it's it's going to be a little bit reminiscent, kind of what we do. So hopefully, Atl United kind of plays a little bit differently than how we usually do, and we'll see. We can do a possession off, but I don't think that's going to be the case at the Benz. But what are you hoping to see from Atl United against this Houston Dynamo side?
I think Houston's probably more complete of a team. I don't think they're as in disarray as we are. Few teams are, I believe. So I think that they will come in fairly confident with the idea that they can get 3 points out of this game, and I hope that we can frustrate them by realizing that if they want to have the ball, have at it. we'll play defensive, counter, transitional, and hopefully we can hurt them on that and kind of, surprise them in that, we didn't play like the playbook usually indicates we try to do at home because, oh, look, there's a new guy on the sideline coaching their team. Maybe he tried something new this game. So we'll see.
Yeah. And hopefully, we do get that new head coach bump because, yes, we absolutely need it. We are, as we know, 5 games, losing at home. It's not good. And I just would never have thought I would have said that. It's, very depressing in a sense. But, as far as the unavailable players for Atl United, we kind of spoke about it, but, we'll go over it again. Abram, Almada, Cobb, Fortune, Saba, Schleich, and Wiley are pretty much unlikely to play, as well as Gregerson and Wolf, who are out with injuries. So, this predicted starting 11, with the few number of players that are actually around, might be actually easy to pick, possibly, who knows. But, it actually still will be, okay, some very big questions. So, let's get into it.
We have, 2 CBs left? Efren and Williams, so...
Yeah, that part is easy, yes. The defense might be easy. I think we'll get into that, but first off, between the sticks, Valentino has a very big pick to make, pretty much, because Brad Guzan, obviously, he had the red card previously, before the Charlotte match, and then Cohen was chosen as pretty much, just a selection. So at that point, now do you shut out your captain when you just get into the, interim job? It's a big call to make. What would you do?
I would probably put Cohen because I don't think that last game was really on him so much. That own goal off of Williams that he should have saved and that he, for all intents and purposes, likely did save. This Cohen has had 2 games of tremendous bad luck out of his 3 that he's played for us. So I want to see if we can turn that around and give him a game at home where we can hopefully get something out of it. I think Rob and Brad they've known each other for a heck of a long time now. I don't think Brad's going to be upset if Rob decides to go in their direction. I think at this point, Rob has to take a look at things and say, what has been happening, what has been used has not worked. We should change things. And hopefully, maybe having Cohen be a more regular piece in the starting 11 may be one of those levers he pulls. So we'll see.
Mm-hmm. But also, I agree. But it also is to play devil's advocate. Guzan looks a little bit better and more calm on the ball, especially kind of in these type of situations, maybe where maybe you don't need a absolute shot stopper per se. When Houston kind of crapped the bed in front of the goal anyway, you kind of need a little bit of a person that you can play out the back. I can see it where Valentino might pick Guzan, but me personally, I would pick Cohen. So
but there's good arguments for either one. I don't think that it's like you have kind of alluded to it. There's no sure answer here. There's no obvious answer. So, I don't think this choice will be an indictment on Rob at all. So I don't think that that's where we will really pin him on any kind of decisions he's made about whether or not he's really turned this team around. So
right, exactly. Because right now there's not much between the two. I would say with Guzan and Cohen, it really still is anybody's job. But into the back line. The fullbacks, I think, also picked themselves. Lennon, Hernandez, and the center backs Williams and Morales are pretty much Morales didn't go with Bolivia for the international window. He apparently was held back, And probably with this good reason, was that he was going to probably be able to get this start for Atlanta United. And so at this point, yeah, we can't let everybody go. And, Morales does have a bright future ahead of him. So, while some Bolivian fans probably were a little upset, it's also, he's probably unlikely to start anyway. So it's like, get him the good minutes that, would be really beneficial for his career. So, that part's...
this happens sometimes. We'll get over it.
Exactly. Bolivia will get over it. But, McCarty probably for the next spot in defensive midfield. What do you think?
Yeah, definitely.
Yep. And then Muyamba as well for me, just because, you go with the experience here. We don't have many other options, unfortunately. Yeah. So there's that. On the wings, what do you think?
I assume that's like, I forget. I guess Silva can go on the left. And then Mascara's around still, right?
Exactly. So
I guess we're gonna go ride with him.
Exactly. There's not much depth right now there. So unfortunately, it might be that, or you could maybe play a Tiare or a Rios on the left if you wanted to do that. But I think you want to kind of keep some sort of depth at striker as well. So because in the middle,
that's a question that I guess we kind of like rolled over, is that will Rob attempt to do like a 2-striker formation like we saw Pineda attempt to do at certain times? Or will he go back to the way we have been, kind of the hallmark of Atlanta United over the last couple of years?
Right, as a 4-3-3 or 4-2-3-1. I think that's what they were trying to do when they were trying to simplify things, but also I think the difficulty is that the problem has been chance creation and good chances, and when you have 2 strikers up top that don't really get a ton of touches, it's kind of moot. Like you kind of need kind of that either a big and a small in a way, or you have some sort of guy that is more of a creator and then the other guy is more of a target, that they can play off each other. But if you have both that are just target forwards, it's usually not as effective, and then you kind of have 2 guys out on an island, and you pretty much are playing pretty much 9 men against 11 to a degree sometimes. So I would err against that right now, just because the dynamism at the striker position isn't aplenty. But it could be also because who's probably likely to be in the steed of Almada is Nick Firmino. So or Stead. You can correct me. There you go. But Firmino and maybe playing as a second striker, and maybe roaming into the the open hole. It could be that. But what do you think?
I think it's more pragmatic and safe to play with the reverted to way that Atlanta United's known to play. So I think it won't be the 2-striker thing. Maybe they switch to that in desperation if they're chasing the game, which we have seen us do in the past, so that's fine. But I would say like you're saying, Firmino at the 10, and then I guess on striker, do you start with Daniel or do you start with Jamal? I guess Jamal has been winning the starts, so I guess you'd go with him, and then Daniel can either come on in a second or replace him later on.
Right. Yeah, it's been a little bit interchangeable. I think like with Guzan and Cohen, there's not much between the two. It's basically Tiare has scored more recently, so you kind of by merit, give it to him. See if you can kind of keep that scoring form going, and Yeah, maybe it is a bit
Or
where
against Leo Messi, even.
yeah, exactly. So, hopefully that is a case where he can bag a goal here, or two, maybe three. But yeah, so let's get into the score prediction then. Obviously Houston have some problems scoring, as do we against non-Inter Miami sides. So what do you think is going to happen?
I think it's going to be 1-1. I think we stop the L streak. However, I don't think we stop. I guess we stopped our winless streak after Miami, but I'm just like, that is such an outlier. So, but yeah, I think we still don't get a win, but I think that we stop our loss streak.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a difficult game, I think, for sure. And I think we've been in sync lately. Pretty much. I have 1-1 as well. I don't see a lot of goals, unfortunately, because I mean, barring some maybe defenders or midfielders that don't score often scoring, I don't see where a lot of the goals will be coming from. I mean, Silva and Tiare are the more likely. Firmino possibly as well, but yeah, we're pretty much goals by committee at the moment, and which can be good if a lot of the players are scoring in each game, but that's not the case, obviously. So, but so what do you guys think? Let us know in the comments below. But that pretty much is the entire episode, except for the question of the day. And the question of the day is, what do you think about the roster? Should we bring in bigger reinforcements in the summer transfer window, or should we wait until the end of the season, or whenever we actually hire a new head coach? So yeah, definitely some big things that the club has to do, big decisions, and kind of some domino effects. So let us know in the comments below what you have to say. Looking forward to it. So guys, that is the episode there and there. Remember to like, share, comment, subscribe. That's Michael. I'm AJ. Thank you so much for watching, and we will see you in the next video.